media. I'll just read it out before I introduce my panel. Is Pale Facebook. We have said good morning because we are very cautious people. Good morning. You're watching Why in the Morning. So navigating relationships. Je ni qualities gani una believe ni essential for a healthy relationship? What are those qualities that you know indeed easy zikikosa kwa relationship, then it's going nowhere? And I love that you guys have already started commenting. And you have tuned in, and tempted to read some of the comments. I'll just read a few before we start, and I'll catch up on the rest as you keep them coming in. We have Timo Fesa anasema, just be honest with yourself before entering a relationship. We are tired of heartbreaks, depression, and secrets that may cause problems when they resurface. Bwana Timo amekuwa very honest, amefungua roho. Uingia tu, just be yourself. Ukwe honest. Eka everything on the table, because we are tired of being depressed because of relationships. All right? And who else am I going to read a comment from? Abud anasema, getting you loud and clear nikiwa mteremko Bungoma. So, and Don Boy Stiga anasema, locked out of Vasha City. And then his answer is honesty and trust. Without those kwake, it's not a relationship, it's not going anywhere. Keep them coming. The hashtag is Why in the Morning at Y254 channel. Now, for the conversation, my panelists are right next to me on my right. I have Jewel Obed, and she's a student at Stuk doing counseling psychology. And right next to her, we have Ian Tingo. He is a student at UON doing journalism. Karibuni sana.
Thank you.
What have I missed out on you, Jewel?
Apart from being a student, I'm a mental health content creator as well. So you can find me on all platforms at Jewel Obed. I create content around mental health.
Oh, all right. Yeah. Interesting. What about you, Ian?
I think you've covered most of it, but I'm also a true lover.
You also
I fit a true lover.
A true lover.
So I fit the entire conversation.
Great. Perfect. That's what we need. That's what we want, because we want to figure out what is the problem with relationships. Why is it that many people suffer heartbreaks and even depression? As one of the guys who I've just read a comment from has stated, and Mr. Mayame Choka, honestly, he's tired of depression, he's tired of the frustration. Just come, be you, be honest from the get-go. And yeah, so who do I start? Let me start with you. You said you're a mental health advocate.
Yeah.
You create content around it. So what do you think that relationships, what role does relationship play in our mental health, especially the challenges?
Okay. So relationships are a core aspect of human beings, and deep down we all desire connection. That's why no matter how many times you get heartbroken, you find yourself in another relationship. And relationships can be a contributor of your happiness, or the opposite is also true. It can be a thing that causes you depression, anxiety, PTSD, because of the experiences that you get yourself into. So relationships play a vital role in every individual's mental health, because when you are in a romantic relationship with someone, or in a friendship kind of relationship with someone, your emotions are invested and your heart is on the line. Matters of the heart are very delicate. So there is a possibility that you are going to get hurt, or the opposite is also true. And when that happens, then you start having symptoms like stress, you start having symptoms like depression. So it does play a very huge role on individuals' mental health.
Okay, that's quite profound, and maybe we will get back to mental health later on and continue the conversation. But Ian, what has been your experience with relationships? Is it working for you? Are you on a break? Are you excelling at it?
So before we even go further, I would love to say, I think the entire take and people's opinion on relationships, love, especially in Nairobi, is extremely subjective.
Okay.
So most people will give their opinion based on their experiences. It's always often nimekuaje, nimepitia nini Nairobi, then that is the basis of their entire talk on relationships and love in general. Personally, I've had my share amount of relationships in Nairobi, and honestly can't complain.
You
I
can't
would complain away from the camera, I would, but right now I wouldn't. So
yeah, okay. It's only the camera that's
that's
keeping you from
the barrier.
All right, fair enough, fair enough. Now, I want us to understand, to try and dissect, why is it that relationships, or maybe we'll get back to that later. I want to ask, why is it, from something you said, why is it that we get into relationships, we get heartbroken, and then someone gets back into a relationship almost immediately after, before healing and all that? But we'll get back to that later. Let's start with a question of the day. What is essential for a healthy relationship? What are those things that should be non-negotiable according to you? Joel?
Okay. So I have 3. Okay. And this comes from a theory about the triangle of love and what it entails and what carries a strong relationship.
Tell us about it.
Number 1, intimacy. In intimacy, we have friendship and emotional bond. So if that is lacking between you guys...
Friendship and emotional bond.
Yes. If that is lacking, then after the physical attraction fades away, then what is left? Number 2, passion. Let there be an extent of physical attraction between the both of you. And the third one is commitment. If you're getting into a relationship, are you willing and are you ready to work through it, through the difficult times? And I think if you have the 3, then that relationship has a high chance of succeeding. Okay,
wow, wonderful. I have so many questions on that, but let me first hear from Tingo. What are your non-negotiables, essentials in a relationship?
I had a comment, then it sparked like also a lot of questions in me. I feel like, let's talk about friendship. There are two kinds of people, especially in Nairobi. People believe you need to have a friendship before going into a relationship.
Yeah.
And on the other side of the spectrum, the people who believe, nah, masani machache, let's just get into it. Then to figure something out, tajuana mbele, small talk, tongea mbele. And for me, I think I end up in the, let me get a second. I think I end up in the former. I believe there has to be friendship before. I know this comes as a surprise to most of my friends, but I believe
why?
I believe in friendship before. But you know, some things happen in Nairobi. You just find yourself in a situation, then over time there's a bond between the two of you. I think my understanding has always been so rigid of love and relationships. It's not that really defined, and I think that's been my major undoing.
Okay.
But the number one and non-negotiable, I think it's both parties being able to communicate. Like having you can have a sit down and talk and also figure out what's going between the two of you and come to an understanding. I think for me, that's the one thing that has to be defined before you even start. But the other things, kidogo rigid.
All right. You're still rigid on other things, but communication.
That's the one thing.
Is key for you. Lazima muongee. Maybe because you're a communicator in that line of duty. It makes sense. But now, let me ask. You've both talked from intimacy, you've picked it up on friendship and all that. So what happens for those that patana, they just say there's this spark between us, you know? Some people love at first sight, and then you're all up you know, in love and everything. Is that really bad? Are there situations where that works? Or do we really have to be friends for some time and then maybe figure out, you know, maybe I don't like you, maybe we should just be friends, or they just go with the spark? I think we have a spark between us, you know, let's just go with it. What do you think?
I feel like I'm an advocate for that also. Like, just go with the spark. I feel like there's a real shortage of people who are looking for relationships. So if you find yourself in a situation where we've met for, let's say, I won't say 5 minutes, but let's say we've talked for a while, we've talked for a while, there's a bond. You shouldn't limit yourself, not pursuing it. You should go right in, head first. If there's an obstacle up umbele, you'll meet face front, figure something out.
Okay.
But you shouldn't have some things defining what you should do or what you should not do. If you find yourself in West at some point, then you meet someone that you feel, you're the love of my life.
You
well
go
and
with
good.
it.
2 hours later, you find another love of your life. Also, I feel like the things, you just move with the flow, but also putting yourself first.
Okay, put yourself first. Because in town, you can meet a lot of your types in a way, just by walking up away.
At the archives too.
Yeah.
It's
crazy. What do you think, Jill? Because some people just go with the spark. Yeah.
Okay, I agree. Sometimes the spark does work. But the problem with just following the spark is that in the long run, 3 to 6 months down the line, will the spark still be there after you guys have become familiar? So if you're choosing to follow the spark, as you follow your heart, make sure that you guys develop a friendship along the way, such that even when the spark fades, there is still the intimacy aspect that will carry you on in the relationship.
Okay, so for you, friendship is very important, because the spark might fade away at some point. Ian, do you believe that the spark goes away?
Yeah, I feel like
you just get tired of each other at some point.
Yeah, I think I'll catch a lot of hate for this, but I think from her side, it comes out as pursuing commitment. Like, it's, if we're talking with someone, then it's for the long run, if I'm not wrong. But for me, I feel people come as experiences. So you shouldn't.
Wow. Did you just say people come as experiences?
People come as experiences. Like friendship, relationships, it's all an experience.
Okay.
So it might last 2 months, it might last 4 months, but you shouldn't fixate towards the time.
Okay.
Yeah, I feel like you should live the moment. You should pursue fun, if I could say, but you shouldn't like limit yourself towards time as a concept. Like you shouldn't say we're here for 10 years, we're here for 15 years. It's really close to kwenda na vibe. But yeah, I feel like you shouldn't really
Msonge tu venye float wapeleka.
Ikikataa pia ni sawa, if it doesn't last, there's a surplus.
But don't you think that you subject yourself to a heartbreak? Like, if you do not know where it's going, ni kama tuone tu, you get to, I date you for 5 years and then you just decide I don't think it's going anywhere, and I've been with you for 5 years. Then do you think there's a danger in that? And that's a graduated master's PhD kind of heartbreak. Other than 2 months. Don't you think so?
Yeah.
It is, but that's part of the experience also. Like, you're there, you know something might happen, but you don't think too much about it.
Okay.
You try not to think too much about it.
So you just live life as it.
You just live.
You
know you might be heartbroken. It might really hurt, but it will end finally. Then you'll find someone else, another experience like that. But yeah, I feel like also I'm speaking too much, so people might catch a different opinion of me.
They may be reading too much.
Unani leo, but yeah.
Okay, let me get back to you, Jewel, so that we do not expose a lot the inside.
Yes.
Okay.
For you as a person, as Jewel, would you get into a relationship that you're not sure where it's headed? Like, you know that you're still getting to know this person, but you do not know the end goal of the relationship. You do not know if they are to get the experience, just to see where it's going. What is your kind of relationship perspective when getting to one?
Okay, not to invalidate his opinion, but I value and love stability. And if we are choosing to pursue something, I would want to know what are your intentions with me, because it creates a safer environment where I feel I can be vulnerable, I can be open, and even if I show you the side of me that many people don't see, then you won't use it against me, or it's not just a by the way, because you are there and you're like, yeah, I want us to do this and this is the end goal. So I value knowing where the relationship is headed.
Okay, all right. So it's interesting.
Yeah.
You value knowing where it's headed, and then Ian says, let's just go with the flow. It's interesting. Everyone has different perspective when it comes to relationships. Now, something else that you had mentioned is the physical attraction. that you need to be physically attracted to someone. For now, the current kind of generation, I don't know if physical, yes, it is there. I think for any human person, any human being, there's usually the physical attraction, but for some, it's not a factor to get into a relationship. For some, now the attraction comes in the money. Is your pocket big enough? Then that's enough attraction for me. You know, that kind of thing. So do you agree, Ian, that physical attraction is essential for you to get into a relationship with someone?
100%. 100%. For this, I would agree 100%. I feel like as much as people say personality, or how good someone
the
is, the heart, look at the heart, the inside beauty, and the likes. When walking in town, personality is kushika mkono. It's when someone looks at you, after saying, but they have a good personality. Usimwone hivyo ni daktari. I feel like personality, as much as it plays a bigger part, like you wouldn't go for someone who's like the polar opposite, and do someone who you aren't really attracted to personality-wise. But I feel like you should really consider the attractiveness, because the first thing for me that really I would say, okay, I would consider is how attractive they are. And I know everyone has a type, but I feel like at the forefront of everyone is the physical attraction of the person they're attracted to.
Okay.
So yeah, I would agree.
Okay, all right, interesting. Now for that, still on both of you, you've both agreed that physical attraction is a factor. So now if you you can be attracted to someone, and then now you find out that maybe their personality doesn't really, is not giving, would you still remain with that person? And on this other side, if you're just friends with someone who's not as attractive, so maybe at first you didn't think of them as a better half or as a person you want to date, but because of their personality, they just have a way of calling you kababa in the morning. You know, and asking you how was your day, and that gets to your heart. You know, matters of the heart. You don't really understand, but she gets a hold of you somehow. And I'll start with you before going to you again. So she gets to you. Would you explore the idea of being in a relationship with someone like that? You're not attracted to them physically, but they have a soft spot in your heart, and you're really concerned and, you know, attracted to them in that level.
I feel like the good thing about living right by the edge is you're extremely flexible with a lot of things. You're able to adapt, is the word. So you're able to adapt, you're able to change the way you were thinking before to fit the situation that you are in at the moment. So someone who's previously not that attractive, something could happen and something could change. And if it doesn't happen, then there's other, let me say, positions in your life that they can fill up. So let's say friends, we can be friends. I mean, they have a nice personality, so I know we'll have a good time hanging out and the likes. And if they also have a really bad personality, I feel like that's not something you can overlook. Like, it's always something that will come back to you because people will always relate them to you. And if someone is, let's say, mean to a cleaner or mean to a waiter or mean to the service people, as much as however attractive they are, there's not something you can really overlook.
Doesn't cover for it.
Yeah, it doesn't cover for it. So most people some people might cling to them because of aesthetics, but some other people might say, kidogo, that's a deal breaker. So we can't be really that close. Juu sasa utaexplainia watu ni rafiki yangu, lakini once in a while anaongeleshanga cleaner vibaya. Kidogo ni ngumu kidogo.
Okay, interesting, because I've seen men, but of course it's very Gen Z, so these are the millennials, and they were saying, I don't know if is it X or Instagram, but a lot of men were commenting on something, and they were saying that for men it's the piece that they look for in a marriage setup, whatever kind of setup, because beauty it doesn't really keep you. It's the personality and the character that they bring. So that's why you find a man who's married to a very beautiful person will cheat with someone who's not even attractive, and you wonder how did you do that. So, well, that makes sense a bit. Now to you, Jewel, what is your take?
Okay, my take is know your priorities. You've mentioned something very important, money. Most ladies don't care about your personality or your looks. They're just after your pocket. And so it's up to you to know, is personality a deal breaker for me? Is looks a deal breaker for me? And then now when it comes to choosing a partner, then you choose based on your preference. So I won't just say that now stick to this or stick to that. No, but understand yourself as an individual. What can you work with, and what can you deal with? Can you would you be okay if the attraction is not there as much, but their personality is great and they're a great person, or vice versa? You don't care if they're nonchalant with you, but as long as they have the model body and they're just gorgeous and perfect. So the option is up to you.
So at the end of the day, it is what you choose to live with. Come on,
Yeah.
from the society, because if you choose to stay with someone because they look good, but they're not really, they don't really are not pleasing in their character, then it obviously shows that wewe ni social, unataka CV yako ikuwe safi hapa nje, watu wajue una hang out na, you know, the lady who everyone wants in the block and all that. Now, to you, Ian, again, communication. You said communication is essential. It's a deal breaker. Could be a deal breaker for you. What do you mean by that? To peleke deeper, is it the I want to know where you are at every moment, that kind of thing? Is it the, if you have a problem with me, because ladies will communicate with actions other than words? Is it that you want me to tell you I think you did this wrongly, kind of communication? What do you mean by communication?
I feel like even before I get into communication, there's something I think she's mentioned, nonchalant people.
Yeah.
There has been a lot of talk, especially on X,
yeah.
Twitter, about nonchalant men. I've been accused of being nonchalant. I have no idea how that came up.
Why?
But I don't know, it feels so unfair. Do people say, he's not nonchalant, he just doesn't like you?
For people who do not know what nonchalant means.
So they'll say, he's not nonchalant, he just doesn't like you. Notipata huni mtu, he just doesn't like talking that much. He's just like reserved, nini. But if you really get to know them, then you know that this person is, you can have a conversation with them. But I feel like for communication as a package, for me, I would say being able to talk things out. Like, as much as you have an issue, there's something that's happened, and as much as this might be also my own undoing, I know people watching are saying, hey, mtingo anasema hivi. But I feel like talking things out and also having a conversation around an entire thing that's disturbing to both of you is the first step towards having a proper communication channel for both parties.
Okay.
Yeah. And also, but having a, like as you said, the first thing that you said was, I think the clingy person thing.
Yeah, knowing where are you, who are you with?
Yeah, I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy. Okay, I would wish it on my worst enemy. Because I feel like for people, I've been in that situation where someone needs to know where you are, what are you doing. Uko na maboys tena, aje, for the 14th time this week, mnafanya nini? Yeah, a lot of questions happening. Where were you? Was the perfume on you? Those kind of questions. As much as, I don't know where it comes from, but for me, that would be like, hey, kidogo.
It's too much.
Yeah, acha nijitoe tu kidogo, I'll be back. But
I need a break kidogo. But didn't you think that when you sign up for a relationship, then you have signed up to be accountable to your partner?
I am, but not to that extent. Because there's this thing I saw, I think, on Twitter, I think a couple of weeks ago, where someone, I think his boys just called him like randomly. Kwambia, hey, we're going out for drinks, would you come? So the guy says yes. Then he later on tells, I think the girlfriend, the wife, yeah, I'm going out with the boys for a few drinks, I'll be back. Then she just snaps without my permission. So I was like, hey, I mean, that couldn't be me, but whoever is in that situation, sorry for you, man, like 100%. But I feel like there's that thin line between controlling and being accountable.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
So having that line.
To really define
there's that gray area. Lazima kuwe na your definition. And you shouldn't find yourself tormented.
Okay, what do you think about that?
Okay, I feel like communication is good in a relationship, but lines have to be drawn, of course. There's the unhealthy kind of communication, and then there is the healthy kind of communication that nurtures a relationship and enables it to grow to a deeper level. And healthy communication is where we are both willing to be vulnerable with each other. It's like an onion, the way it has layers. What communication does is it helps you uncover layer by layer of an individual. And so through talking about your experiences, who you are, you get to know this person, you get to understand, is this someone who I would want to be with in the long term? Are their goals aligning with mine? Are we seeing the same kind of future? Like, are they here just for fun, or do they want commitment? Communication allows you to see that. That's why it's so necessary. Yeah. But now on the other end of the spectrum, where he talks about controlling and being with an insecure partner, which can also catch up on someone and affect their mental health. And also it shows that there is lack of trust in the relationship. And lack of trust is basically there is no truth. Maybe you have lied before, so this partner doesn't trust you anymore, and they see the need of being controlling. So I would say that it's important, but it is also necessary to see the other end of the spectrum and know where to draw boundaries in the relationship.
All right, so there could be underlying issues to the controlling person. So you need to know what causes that, address the root cause. If it's trust, then address the root cause trust, and maybe communication can get better at that point. Now, let's talk about social media and social media relationships, the influencer relationships, how it's affecting relationships now in this generation, Gen Z, how it's affecting relationships. Tumona Masalem, speak of say it even in marriage, say it and Dejemo breaking up. We've seen Maya and I've forgotten the name. And who? Stormzy. Yes. And a lot of other people that have broken up relationships are, and even the other day, this content creator, what is his name? My goodness. The one who had built a whole house. But yeah, basically the influencers, the great guys there, when we break up. So how is this influencing our space? Let me start with you, Ian.
I feel like social media, most people like upload social media, but I feel like as much as the first thing that comes up when we talk about social media and relationships is the unrealistic standards. Especially this affects boys mostly, and I know most people are nodding at home right now. It affects mostly men and boys. So people see, like you'd see someone being bought for like roses every week. I buy you a Jeep for their birthday, or a Range Rover, a new house. A lot of interesting things. So for most people, they expect that, let's say, the 20 or 21 or 22-year-old boyfriends to do the same thing, which is crazy. Let's say for a university student, the thing in my mind is I have to eat lunch, and I'm not considering like some posh place. Now consider like right now I'm considering Klabu. Then probably have a good time with my friends, go play some nini. The budget doesn't really exceed, let's say, even 1,000, or let's say that kind of. It's really limited. But someone really expects you to go out of your way to do such things. They're the small things that you can do. But when on social media you'll be called say imagine alinibaia tu rose moja. Imagine alinibaia kahawa maji moto. Which for you felt like it was a big deal, but for people it's made to seem like such a huge thing. Then this also brings the other issue of, let's say, people feel like when we talk about breakups, people feel like they have options.
Okay. All right. So for boy child are being affected mostly by the social spaces because, well, when we see it's mostly the men, of course,
doing
flaunting how they're treating their girlfriends, or the girlfriends are showing off how the men are treating them. So that's affecting the relationship. Qua ground, because vitu ni different. And on social media, they're usually just promoting some PR, some company, and it's not even real. They will give it back.
It's always PR.
It's always PR. So, but the pressure comes in, and unless someone is conscious about it, then it affects the relationship. It affects them. It affects the relationship. What are your thoughts on it?
First of all, I 100% agree with what he says. It's important to distinguish between reality and what we see on social media. And what you're living right now is the reality. What you're experiencing is the reality. And it's also important to realize and to understand that what you see on social media is what people want you to see. And that is why when celebrities break up, it comes out as a very huge shock, because all they show you is the rosy bed. They don't show you the conflicts. They don't show you the times when they broke up 5 times. They don't show you the side when things were not rosy.
Yeah.
And this creates this narrative that a relationship has to be perfect. It creates the narrative that if we have conflict, then we are not meant to be. But that is not true, because a relationship has got ups and downs. There are the good times and there are the bad times. So social media has really brought in this false ideation that it will just be perfect and all rosy. And so it reduces even the amount of resilience that people have when they are in a relationship, or the aspect of let's fight for this, it's worthy.
Yeah.
I mean, it deserves a shot, because people believe that it just has to be rosy all the time, which is not true.
So it creates a false reality.
Exactly.
And it affects how resilient we are in relationships. Because honestly, looking, even in marriage, how it was back then with our parents and our grandparents, it was more committed. You know, hini ujaribu tu ukose kuninunulia chocolate. I am done with you. It is over.
Yeah.
It is over, my guy. So that's the kind of relationship we are seeing now. And I'll read the comments before I get back to you. In just a while, I want to see what you guys are saying on this topic. The hashtag is Y in the morning at Y254 channel. And before I do that, someone was trying to say that you guys make a good couple. Wanajaribu kumachmake, but he said he is in the open, in the we see how this goes. She says she's in the committed one. Where are we going with this? So it might not make.
Yeah.
On a light note, as we go to the comments, Y254 channel, the hashtag is Y in the morning. So Fabian Mwakish tuning in from Kirinyaga, and a lot of you have given big shout outs to guys and marked themselves present. But I'm seeing Douglas Muriuki saying respect and forgiveness. So he's essential. Now make 100% just to emphasize on that. Right. Who else has? I'm looking for people who have given interesting comments on this. Benito says, Moto, thank you for tuning in. Geoffrey Kate, thank you for tuning in. Busia Loud and Clear from Brayo. Abiud also there. Timur, of course, Mwanda. Thank you guys for tuning in and sharing your thoughts on this. So I will just go with respect and forgiveness. Respect and forgiveness as key in relationships. But let's finish up with the social media influence first before we get to the respect and forgiveness. So how do you see the relationships of Gen Z getting into marriage if the social media space is still there, Ian? How do you see it working out, or what should be done for it to actually work out? Looking that the social media space is not about to start showing us how they are having troubles in their marriage. The socialites will not stop showing us how they've been given 10 million cars kind of thing. So yeah, how do you say it?
So today I'm feeling a bit extremely sentimental. So I'll start using my friends as an example. I feel like, for Lenny guys, so for most of my friends, I would say that also to some extent, they're also affected by social media as a whole. So it becomes also difficult for them like to get into relationships, especially the guy friends. It becomes really difficult for them to like be in that space where they're able to pursue a relationship for more than 6 months. I had she mentioned 3 months, which is a really long time for most people out there.
Yeah.
When
Like for 3 months you need to get a certificate.
I do
You
like
tried.
like, hey, 3 months, people are serious out here. People are serious out here. But I feel like for most people, social media has a direct effect on them. So people are like, but what would, like you say, Taize do? What would Maya do? What would this person do, the person I look up to do? She left her husband because of this. I should do the same thing. But people don't know, like people don't understand. People have different experiences. People are different people as a person. So the way you approach something is also different from the other way, from another way that someone else would approach the same thing. So going forward, I feel like there needs to be like a clear distinction. People should go outside, touch some grass, know how it's outside. I know people anashanga, yeah, but people should be outside, like know how things are working out and how to build relationships and also how not to build a relationship. Yeah, and also away from social media. Like not everything has to also happen inside social media. Like if both of you are private people, it doesn't have to be on Instagram, like, you know. Yeah, so for me, I'm a private person. Okay, I'm
Not so private.
no, not so private. Not so private. But I also have an issue with being posted everywhere.
Okay.
Yeah, like sa utaingia tu gram una tap stories unapata sura yangu iko hapa. So unashangaa.
Si yako proud.
Okay, ni sawa lakini sasa hapa unaribu soko. Okay, I didn't say that, but yeah.
Wow.
So I feel
You just did.
it's a bit technical. It's a bit technical, but
Ladies,
my final
post your man so that una just to, you know, territory.
yeah, my final take is people should exist outside social media. That's the best way to nurture relationships.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I like it. Exist outside social media because social media will corrupt you. And what about yours?
I think it's very important to be discerning when it comes to social media. Know who you're taking information from and distinguish whether they're posting it for entertainment or for show off, and don't start comparing your own life with their own life. As he has said, everyone's experience is different. I would say don't be scared to use your mind. Don't be scared to use logic.
That is
Don't just follow social media blindly. It's okay to feel your emotions and listen to your mind as well, because this thing of just following trends and what is happening at now, because there is a wave of heartbreaks, even you, because your man didn't call you yesterday, now
So
you're going to break up with them.
heartbreak.
That is you following a trend.
Yeah.
That is not you using your mind.
So that,
You've not asked them like, hey, what was happening, you know, communication again. So as I've emphasized, like, know where you draw the line with social media. Because to some extent, what we don't want to say out loud is that it does ruin relationships to some extent. So it's important to filter out the bad and then intake the good.
okay, manage expectations.
Exactly.
Right? Because social media will put your expectations on a different kind of level, and the person you're dating has not gotten to that level. So know how to manage your expectations. And what you've said, ni a very kind way of saying, tumia akili yako, tumia akili mtu wangu. Usiogope kufikiria. Let your brain your head not just carry teeth. It's the brain.
Exactly.
Make it work for you. And I like it. Now, as we come to a close on this conversation, I don't want to leave out the aspect of respect and forgiveness, because that's someone who said that's essential for them, our viewer there. So what do you think? What is a place of respect? For men, I know respect is very key. And now, where do you draw the line when it comes to forgiveness also? Very quickly, Ian.
I feel like for me, forgiveness, it's really direct. Like let's say in terms of cheating, there isn't much talk about Apo. Hey, it's happened, we're not cool, but let's everyone just go their separate ways. Like there isn't a lot to be discussed in terms of forgiveness when it comes to cheating. Like it's not like someone is controlling you with the PS or something, and this applies to both parties. So I feel like for me, forgiveness, it only, like on normal things, like let's say communication, then that's acceptable. But when it comes to now cheating specifically, I feel like that's where
there's an area where forgiveness doesn't.
Yeah, that's where the conversation now ends. Like, how do you explain? Acha tu yeah,
Ni sawa tu.
ni sawa tu.
It's done. But for now, you've spoken for yourself. But for men, it's usually what men say is that when men cheat, they usually say, hata sijui nilijipata tu
Si
ama
feelings,
ni si
ni- si
feelings,
feelings.
simpendi hata nione unapenda, but you've
hadi nilikuwa
cheated.
nakufikiria inakwanga
Yeah.
hivyo. It's so
Yeah. So now, speaking as a man, is that true? Do men really do that? No emotion attached to it, but they expect forgiveness. So is it okay to, as a lady, forgive a man for cheating? Because now men, we don't really it's not emotional. It's just a physical thing, and then so what is your take on that as a man?
I feel like you put me on the spot, but I even saw her like just stand right then.
Waiting for your answer.
Yeah. But I feel like when it comes to a man cheating, I feel like you can't cheat without your feelings being involved.
Mm-hmm.
However you want to phrase it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know these people are going to love this side, sir. So yeah, I feel like you can't cheat without having your feelings involved, and mostly it's just it comes as an excuse. It's always conscious. It's a decision that someone has made. Like it's something that's progressed from a certain point to another point that all leads to them cheating. So I feel like when someone says ni vile tu, juu nimeshikwa, acha niseme hivi, maybe it will smoothen things out. Kidogo tu, but you know I'm lying, but when I say
You'll
this,
just take it.
yeah, I'll make it kidogo, I'll sleep better at night.
Okay.
So I feel like, yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So for ladies, that has been clear. Do not be lied to pale nje. If he cheats, ni wewe tunamkubali, if you allow it. But the excuse, it doesn't carry water. Now to you said something earlier when we started. Still around forgiveness, though. People get heartbreaks, and it affects their mental well-being at some point. But why do people get heartbreaks and then go back to the same relationship? Whether it's in cheating, someone will be cheated on and then still get back to the relationship. Not out jawana, it's different maybe for people in marriage, but this is someone you're not married to. Why do you need to get back to that person? What do people see as a need? What pulls people really?
Well, I like the aspect where you've brought out he has cheated or she has cheated, but you still find yourself going back. The deep-seated wounds, childhood traumas, attachment issues, maybe you have an insecure attachment, and the cycle that you have developed with this person being in a toxic relationship. When you are away from each other for a period of time, you start craving their attention once again, because they had gotten you hooked to giving you, either they're giving you in terms of breadcrumbs or they're truly loving you genuinely. But the aspect of them giving it to you and then withdrawing it, it becomes like a drug. That is how like attachment issues in relationships work. So the reason why most people go back to toxic relationships is because they haven't become real with themselves and accepted that actually I have this childhood trauma, I have this wound, I have these issues that I need to work on. And if you don't choose to work on these issues, you will find yourself dating the same kind of person, but in different bodies. Yeah, just the same character, the same personality, the same spirit in different bodies. It comes down to you looking at this pattern and seeing that, okay, I think I need help. Yeah.
Okay, wonderful. You've spoken like a counselor there. Who you are, she is a counselor. Oh, wonderful. What do you think about it? Why do people go back to people who hurt them? Toxic relationships. Someone beats you, you are in campus, but you go back to this person. What is the problem?
So I'll divide my answer into two. So the first part is in really light situations. Then in the second part is in extreme situations. So let's say in extreme situations where it's turned violent, and violence, the hands being thrown, you end up with bruises, and we're just being shouted at, the likes. I feel like that I'd go back to a point where it becomes like it's deep-rooted things, like they go way back and the like. But when it comes to light issues, like let's say communication is not that light, but let's say you just didn't talk things out, just a minor argument, a minor misunderstanding. maybe there's something, like you go back juu, okay, maybe we didn't think this through enough. Ama kuna kitu yenye sikufikia. So acha nirudi, maybe it will be a different experience. Of which I support to some extent.
Okay.
Like maybe she's your soulmate, maybe they're your soulmate. So, yeah.
You've been apart kidogo, but umeanalyze or like, that's...
Huku nje, soko ni kubaya, acha
Ule wangu I'd rather deal with.
That's why some people, by some people I mean my friends, believe in, there's this thing called buyback clauses.
What's that?
Where you end things, but it's so undefined that unaweza rudi after 2 years na mtaendelea mali mliacha.
Okay.
Yeah. It's so common and it's so interesting to look at it. Ama you might come back after 3 years, after 3 weeks, bado mtarudi mali mlikuwa. It needs, what wanasemanga, it needs some level of refinement. So people believe, tuachie hapa, but remember,
revisit.
Yeah, if anything happens, you have my number, just call me. Turudi tuendelee mali tulikuwa. So as I said again, it's a really thin line. It's a gray area where it really isn't really defined, and you can't really pinpoint a certain situation that led to you like spinning the block back to that person. But when it comes to deep-rooted issues, violence, I feel like that's where you draw the line and say, hapa kidogo noma.
I have to respect myself.
To put yourself first.
Put myself
first. Mambo
first.
madogo, mambo ya dunia.
Okay. I did ask you about respect and forgiveness. What's your take on that?
I think it's essential in any healthy relationship, and it needs to be there. I need to respect your boundaries. You need to respect my boundaries as well. And since we aren't perfect human beings, sometimes we will step on each other's toes intentionally or unintentionally. It's good to have that open heart towards your partner that, okay, I will forgive you and life will move forward. Because you see, where things like contempt, criticism, defensiveness, where they start from is unforgiveness and holding of grudges. And then over time, those things start showing up as you criticizing your partner, you being contempt with them, kuwadharau and stuff, because you're really feeling disgusted. But it started from the point where you guys didn't want to forgive each other because of the small issues that you guys had.
All right. Wonderful. I like it. And I know I'm supposed to close this conversation, maybe just as a last question, and as you give your final parting shots on this. For people, they come to relationships to seek validation. I want to be with Ian because I feel like he validates something in me. I'm only complete when I'm with Ian. Alone you do not feel, so some people have that in relationships, but how important is it to go complete? Something of that sort. I don't know if my question is clear enough, but why is it important to be a complete person when getting into a relationship? Let me start with you, Ian, and then finish with you as you give your that as a parting shot.
So to me, I feel like before, you need to work on yourself, obviously. Like you need to have a personal identity. Like as a person, you exist heavy, not being defined by someone else, a stranger, who in 2 years probably hamtakuwa mnaongea. Highly likely, especially sahi, highly likely in 1 year, a couple of months, you won't be talking. So I feel like as a person, you need to exist as a person, as a whole person, and figure the things that really define you away from a specific person. Someone who just plays a part, who's just an experience in your life.
Okay.
So as a person, especially my guys, unafaa, I'll say the word kujiheshimu. Yeah, jiheshimu. Like when you move, how you carry yourself, there's some oomph around you, but also the things that define you, and the things that work for you, and the things that do not work for you. I feel like that's the part where most people should understand also.
Okay, I love it. So know what works for you and what doesn't. That's how you won't be able to take anything that doesn't work for you in a relationship, because you have some good standard, right?
Yeah.
What do you think? As it close?
First of all, I agree with what he has said, and I just want to bring out the point where when you get into a relationship, when you fully haven't understood yourself and known yourself, you are very likely to be carried away by the image of what this partner has about you. So you will want to conform to what your partner wants, even though you're uncomfortable. This is not who you are. But because you just want to be loved, you feel like you need validation from them. You start doing things to make them happy. But in turn, you are the one who will suffer. And also, in the aspect where the relationship doesn't go so far, you're the one who will be left with emotional pain. So in the aspect where maybe you're in that situation left with emotional pain, before you go seeking out for validation from guy ABC or girl ABC, make sure you introspect and analyze your own life. Where do I need to work on myself? Ni wapi nimekuwa nikifumble? Where have I been not being fair to myself and just saying yes, not even have boundaries, not having boundaries, not having standards? I think that aspect is very important before you get into a relationship.
Okay, wonderful. I love what both of you have said. So you just know yourself, value yourself before getting into a relationship. And this is where we'll put a close on this particular conversation. Thank you very much for being an amazing, amazing panelist. You have so much wisdom, my goodness. It would be unfair of me to not have you mention your social media platforms, because there are potential. People have seen a potential here. Yeah. So please, where can people get you on social media? That's your camera.
Okay, on social media, my name is Jewel Obed, JEWEL OBED. On all platforms, I create content around mental health. So if you have any questions, you can just DM me and I will respond.
All right, great. So she creates content around mental health. Get her at Jewel Obed. And finally, we have Ian. Where can we find you on social media?
All platforms, it's Tingo Akel, AKELL. Across Twitter, I wouldn't advise you to go to my Twitter, but Instagram, TikTok, it's Tingo. It's around fashion, music, and creative spaces in Nairobi.
All right, I am curious. What is there on Twitter? You've said Twitter, no, Miss Ma. Advice to say
to specify. Yeah.
Okay, you find him at Tingo Akel with a double L, right?
Yes.
Okay, so we appreciate your company. Thank you for your active participation even on our social media. Keep them coming. We still want to get your opinions on these topics. The hashtag is Y254 at Y254 channel. We're going to close the show here. We appreciate your company. I will meet you tomorrow, same time, same place, from 7 a.m. till 10 a.m. I wish you a great day ahead. Enjoy the rest of your viewing.